Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here we are seeing quite a bewildering pastimes of Brahmaji. Vacham duhitram tanvim swayam bhura hartim manaha akamam chakame shaktaha sakama iti naha shrutam. That how from Brahma's body a daughter was born, whose name was Vak, and just after the daughter was born from Brahmaji, his mind became attracted towards own daughter, and he was inclined lustfully towards her, even though she was not inclined. So, Prabhupada first of all explains this, that actually Brahmaji was benedicted by the Lord when he heard Srimad Bhagavatam, the 4 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, when directly he had the audience of the Lord and the Lord spoke to him Srimad Bhagavatam after he performed devotional austerities. The Lord blessed him that he will never be bewildered in any of the kalpas. So Prabhupada explains, first of all we have to understand, this could not have happened after Brahmaji heard Srimad Bhagavatam from the Supreme Lord and he was benedicted that he will never become illusioned. So it has not happened after that, because there is already the protection of the Lord and Brahmaji is completely cleansed of all his material contamination when he has heard Srimad Bhagavatam from the Supreme Lord. So it has not happened in that kalpa or any kalpa after that. This might have happened in some other kalpa before Brahmaji heard Srimad Bhagavatam from the Supreme Lord. So first we have to understand this. Another thing we can see here is that the sons like Marichi, after coming to know of this extraordinary behavior of their father, they all got together and it is said here, Vishrambhat Pratyo Bodhayan, they submitted whatever they wanted to say to Brahmaji with lot of respect for Brahmaji. This is very important to note, because they recognized that actually this is not an ordinary act. Brahmaji is very exalted. He is in the most exalted position. He is the primeval living entity in this universe. So this extraordinary act is not normal on the part of Brahma. So we cannot simply go and find fault. What is this you are doing? Nonsense. Right? So they are thinking there must have been some reason. You see? There must be some reason that Brahmaji is involved in such kind of immoral act. That's why with full respect they have gone and they are pleading to Brahmaji. That's why he should get involved in this kind of act. It is not proper. Prabhupada is saying here very nicely. The great sages like Marichi were not in the wrong in submitting their protest against the act of their great father. They knew very well that even though their father committed a mistake, there must have been some great purpose behind the show. You see, this is very important. They were able to recognize that he is not some third class man, that he has become, because actually, generally speaking, the daughter comes out from the body of the father. There is the least possibility of father becoming attracted towards the daughter like that, isn't it? Of course, in the spiritual path, we have to be very careful. That is different thing. But here we are finding one of the most exalted personality, not to somebody else, somebody extra is different, getting attracted to the own daughter, isn't it? Looks like very third class. So Brahma getting attracted to his own daughter is very extraordinary. Person of such an exalted stature. So the sons knew very well that our father is great, but he is getting involved into this act. There must be a higher purpose behind it. See, Prabhupada is pointing out very nicely. They knew very well that even though their father committed a mistake, there must have been some great purpose behind the show. Otherwise, such a great personality could not have committed such a mistake. This is one important thing. What is that Brahma wanted to show? What could be the reason? Prabhupada is saying. What could have been the reason? It might be Brahma wanted to warn his subordinates about human frailties in their dealing with women. Brahma wanted to show that in the stature of Brahma, even at such an exalted position, if I can become attracted to my own daughter, what are you people thinking yourself to be? That I am some Sthita Dhir Muni, great Muni, isn't it? Controlled in my senses, nothing will happen. No. So Brahma wanted to show the frailties in human being. That how much careful we have to be when we are treading our path in spiritual life. And that's why it is being described, spiritual life is like walking on the razor's edge. Very cautiously, very carefully we have to tread the path. Otherwise, little negligence, there is bleeding. So this is what Brahmaji wanted to actually show with his own example. This is always very dangerous for persons who are on the path of self-realization. Therefore, great personalities like Brahma, even when in wrong, should not be neglected. See, this is important. Person in an exalted position, seemingly doing wrong, should not be degraded, should not be neglected. There might be a greater purpose. And Prabhupada is saying that is the reason that his own sons, with lot of respect, they went and pleaded before Brahma with lot of awe and respect. Therefore, great personalities like Brahma, even when in wrong, should not be neglected. Nor could the great sages headed by Marichi show any disrespect because of his extraordinary behavior. So just because of this one incident, his extraordinary behavior, which was meant for some purpose, just because of this, it's not that Marichi and other sages started showing disrespect to their father, that he is a degraded man, lusty man. No. They were able to understand there must be some purpose because of which Brahmaji is engaged like this. So, first point we will try to understand is that in spiritual life, how it is very, very important to be cautious when we are trying to advance in our spiritual life. Once there was a conversation with Prabhupada was having with his disciples, and so Prabhupada was comparing there that woman is like a fire and men is like a butter. So then Prabhupada said, looking towards his sannyasis, so all you sannyasis, you should always write on your head, keep that written on your head, keep in cool place. You see, because, and then he said, just like in butter, if you buy a butter packet from the market, they will always write caution, keep in cool place, because the moment you keep it in hot place, it will melt away. So just like on the butter it will be written, keep in cool place. So Prabhupada said, similarly, all of you sannyasis, you should prominently write on your head, keep in cool place. Isn't it? So then Prabhupada said, it will be possible that you will keep yourself safe from dangers. Another time, one Mataji devotee, she met Prabhupada, and all sannyasis were also sitting, and Prabhupada was giving a class. After the class, she asked a question to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, we hear that in our philosophy, the men should treat women as mothers. So in our philosophy, actually, we should be trained right from the beginning to treat woman as mother. Brahmachari, for him, everybody is mother. For a grahastha, apart from his wife, everybody else should be looked like a mother. He should treat them like mother. So that is what we hear from our philosophy. And that's how Prabhupada related that even in his childhood we were taught like that. And sometimes, Prabhupada said we had gone to one cinema that parents had taken, and every time I would see some lady, I will say, here is another mother, here is another mother. So because that was how the training was done from the beginning. So that Mataji is pointing out like that. But actually the men, especially the sannyasis, they don't treat the women as mothers. Instead, they treat them as Maya. So she is complaining that instead of treating like mother and like that, they are treating like Maya. Their attitude. So then she is saying, actually it is their attitude which is Maya, not the woman. So this doesn't seem proper. So Prabhupada heard the complaint very, very carefully, and he smiled, and very softly he started replying. Prabhupada said, yes, the men do not treat the women as mothers, nor do the women act like mothers, neither they dress like mothers. You see. So specifically, we can see it's not that when we go outside and we start associating, thinking they are like our mother, because neither they are treating, they are also filled with lusty desires. So Prabhupada is saying, nor do the women act like mother. So they are not acting like mother, neither they are dressing like mother. So how it is, then it is definitely very, very difficult for a sannyasi specifically to treat the woman as such like a mother. So it is better to avoid the company of women in that sense. So Prabhupada is giving that example citing from Srimad Bhagavatam. The example is Balavan Indriya Gramo Vidvamsapi Karshati. The senses are so strong, balwan, indriya gramo. Because somebody may think that it is said one should not sit in a lonely place even with own mother or sister or daughter, because indriyas are very, very strong. So then somebody may comment that this may happen to some 3rd class, 10th class man, isn't it? It will not happen to learned man. But in the very next line it says, Vidvams api karshati. Even a great personality, he has to be careful. He cannot think that these instructions are meant only for some 10th class man. It does not apply to me. Even a great personality, even a great learned man, his senses can get carried away. Vidvams api karshati. So, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains this very nicely in the 2nd chapter. Krishna explains that the senses are so impetuous that even one of the roaming senses, not all, let us say eyes or ears or whatever, touching sensation, all these are senses. Even if all of them are not involved, because all our senses are always roaming to seek sense objects. Eyes are roaming. Sometimes a person can become captured just even by his ears, isn't it? We see that example. Even when a great yogi is meditating, and Vishwamitra was meditating, hearing just the ankle bell of Menaka, his mind became agitated. Saubharya Muni, sitting underneath the water, when he just opened his eyes, just by the sight of Maithuna between the two fishes, his mind became agitated, his mind get carried away. So much so that he became engaged in those kind of activities. Even Vishwamitra Muni also became engaged in those kind of activity. You see? So Prabhupada gives this example that even one of the sense, if that is not controlled, even that can sometimes even end our life. So Prabhupada gave the examples from the Vedic literature. The fish becomes trapped by the sense of tasting. So much food is available in the water, but because of the sense of trying to enjoy the tongue, the fish becomes caught in the hook of the fisherman and loses its life. Then the example is given about the moth. We all know that in the night time, when the candle is on or when the light is on, so many small insects, because they become attracted by the sight, so because of getting attracted by their eyes, these living entities, these insects, they go and burn themselves in that fire. They lose their life. The elephant in the jungle, even it is a wild elephant, he becomes trapped by the touching sensation of she-elephant, who is trained to seduce the male elephant in sexual intercourse. And it becomes so mad that it becomes captured in the pit created for that purpose. Loses its freedom completely. The deer, just because of its hearing, the attraction towards hearing some nice sound, becomes attracted to the hunters. When the hunter plays some beautiful sound, either by flute or whatever, and it becomes captivated, and then it stops running, then immediately the hunter shoots it down. So like that, any of one roaming sense actually can capture the living entity. The mind can carry away the living entity just with one roaming sense. So that is given in Bhagavad Gita. Very nicely Krishna describes that. Then in answer to that, Krishna further explains, therefore it is very important. Krishna says 3 things are required if we have to completely control our senses. One, Krishna says, Tani sarvani samyamya. Samyamya means to control. Sarvani means all senses. Do not neglect even one of the senses. Because first Krishna is saying even one of the roaming sense, it can drag the mind. So don't neglect any one of the senses. Try to restrain, try to control all of the senses. Whether it is eyes, whether it is nose, whether it is touching sensation, whether it is ears, all of them we should try to control and restrain. Samyamya means to control. Then what should be done? Suppose to certain extent we have controlled. We don't let loose our senses to go to the sense objects as they desire. The eyes always want to see some beautiful object. What should we do? We should not try to look at these material objects and get hooked on to such things. Isn't it? So we should not contemplate on the sense object. That is the meaning of restraint. So we should not contemplate either with our eyes, with our ears, with our different senses on the sense object. So we have to try to restrain and control them. Then what is required? After little restraint we do, will they be restrained like this? Vishwamitra Muni also tried to restrain. But what happened? Factually he had to let them loose. Once the sense object came, once the opportunity came, he was not able to restrain them. Like a dam, suppose when the river becomes over flooded, the dam is broken. So the dam may be required to restrain it for some time, but that cannot give protection once there is over flooding. Saubharya Muni also tried to restrain. Tani sarvani samyamya. All his senses he tried to restrain. But factually, the moment opportunity came, he lost control. Isn't it? So next Krishna is saying, just restrain alone is not enough. Restrain is a first step. First we have to try to restrain. After restraining, engage them all in service of Krishna. See? Restraint is also important, but that is only the first step. Tani sarvani samyamya. After samyamya, yukta asita mat paraha. You completely engage them in my service. In Krishna consciousness, you engage them. Yukta asita. Yukta means engage. You see? Yukta asita mat paraha. So, then we have to concentrate and engage all our senses in the service of the Lord. Then what will happen? By thus engaging like this, Vashe hiyasya indriyani tasya prajna pratishtitaha. When his senses will thus become conquered. Vashe means, you see, just like we find man controls an elephant, wild elephant, with that tool in his hand. The Mahot, he controls with that god, with that whatever the tool comes to control. Vashe. So, once we restrain and engage our senses in the service of the Lord, then senses will come under Vasha. They will come under the control. Then a person is called as Sthita Prajna. Then he is called that he is situated properly. So, in our practical condition, how do we do this? This is also very important to understand. Because sometimes we think, lust is there in my mind, is in my heart, lusty desires are there. Prabhu, better I should become a grahastha. Isn't it? That is what generally we think like that. Lust is there means I should become grahastha. That is not the idea. We should not misunderstand the meaning of brahmacharya. You see, what Krishna is expecting from all the different ashram is, we try to follow the rules and regulations. Complete eradication of lust is possible only in completely purified state. Soul can be completely free from any lust. Why? Soul has nothing to do with this material body, actually speaking. In pure state, soul has nothing to do. In conditioned state, soul has become dependent on this body, demands of this body. So it will not be free from lusty desire. So that we should understand very carefully. So we should not think brahmacharya means no lusty thoughts will come at all. That is brahmacharya. That is not the idea. What is important is we don't indulge in those activities. Of course, not that we try to think in our mind about lusty desires. Because of our previous karma, because of our previous habits, those are already there in our subconscious mind. They will erupt, they will come out. Sometimes you will find, I am not walking in the street, but still lust is coming out. Isn't it? No sense objects are present. Matajis are all sitting and chanting somewhere else, but still lusty desires are coming in my mind. How it is? Because they are there. Subconscious mind, they are there. So this will all come out. So just because lusty desires are coming in the mind, we should not think of gratifying those desires. We should not think of indulging in those desires. That is also one of the quality we find. You see, one of the quality of sthita prajna gradually will be, even though many rivers are entering, the ocean does not become overfilled with water. It still remains peaceful, tranquil like that. You see? So we should not think that no such desires will come in my mind. The moment these desires are coming means better Prabhu I will change to grahastha ashram. That is not the idea. So we should be able to control to the extent that we don't indulge in them. That is important. Then somebody may think, isn't that hypocrisy? Because Krishna also says, somebody's mind is involved in lusty desires, externally he is renounced. Krishna says, he is called mithyachara sa uchyate. Isn't it? Somebody may think like that. Actually, we will be called mithyachar when our intentions are different. Intention is externally, I want to pose as a great devotee. Externally, I want to become like a big sannyasi. Yes, all of you should respect. I am a great personality. Internally, the mind is only always contemplating to enjoy sex pleasure, lusty desires. He is a mithyachar. Externally, he has renounced. He has become renounced from his activities. No, I don't want to be doing any kind of activities. I am a sannyasi. Internally, his mind is contemplating on sense object. He is a mithyachar. Whereas a devotee who has renounced material activities, his intention is not to contemplate. He is not contemplating, he is not thinking about I want to enjoy. But these desires, as a storehouse, they may be sometime coming and disturbing. And he is repenting. He doesn't want to get involved in them. His intention is not to contemplate and enjoy. His intention is to regulate. Then he is not a mithyachar. So, at our level, how we will be able to control is, we should not think that is an ideal position when not even a lusty desire will come. Even Yamunacharya is saying, Yadavadhi mama chitta Krishna padar vindayor. Isn't it? So from that time, from when my mind has become attached to lotus feet of Krishna, tadavadhi batanari sangame smaryamane. He's saying even in my mind sometimes that thought comes. That why don't you enjoy like earlier life? Nari sangame smaryamane. When I think of such thought, I spit at such a thought. You see? So we should not think that such kind of desires will not come. The attachments we are having is from such a long time, we cannot think that immediately it will be vanquished, it will be finished. That is possible only in complete stage. Generally, sometimes people think that isn't it better if some such desires are coming in the mind, better to indulge in it, and then at least I become peaceful. Otherwise, mind will not be even peaceful. Don't you think that is better? That's only a temporary peace you will get. Over a period of time, the mind will become in pieces. It will not attain peace. Krishna gives the example, trying to indulge in sense gratification and thinking it will become peaceful is like pouring ghee on fire. Dushpurena analena cha. Krishna says the more you indulge, it will burn more and more like fire. How it will burn? Because what you are doing by indulging is like pouring ghee. When you pour ghee, it looks like for some time it is stopping. Yes, it will stop for some time. But what you have done is actually an ingredient to burn it more and more. Indulgence in sense gratification will increase it more and more, not decrease it. So that is one very important point we should try to understand, that at our state we should not think that such desires, such thoughts will not come in my mind. At our state, when these kind of desire comes, we should try to combat that with spiritual understanding, with spiritual thoughts. We should fill our mind with spiritual thoughts. You see, when material desire comes, the more we pray to the Lord, the more we try to remember spiritual instructions, we will be able to control. On physical level, we should not get indulged into sense gratification. So that is what is expected at our level of brahmacharya. So we should not think that such lusty desires will not come and better I should, see some other options. So that is a completely different thing. Another important point before we end, we'll try to understand, is about the second verse, where we find that Marichi and others, when they were trying to find fault in their own father Brahma, they went with a proper etiquette, with a proper respect. This is also very important. When we are trying to find fault in our superiors, still we should observe a lot of etiquette, with respect. Humbly we should point out. It is not, here we can see the proper example where they are able to understand, and he is also seeing, they are also knowing that there must be a reason, not that what I am thinking is correct. This devotee has done like this is correct. Why he has done? This is because of this. No. They are still thinking. He is in such a higher position. If he has acted like this, there must be a superior reason. You see? So this is also very important. Of course, Prabhupada says at our level, we should not try to find faults with others. Only authorized people should find faults. Not that any devotee, with everyone we try to find faults. Then it is not possible that we will be able to stay peacefully in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said, I find fault with you, you find fault with me. This is what is going on. So what is great about that? Somebody who is finding fault in other, are you free from fault? That you are trying to find fault in others? Yes, if you are completely free from faults, then you can find faults with others. Otherwise, we should not. So the point is to say, only a person who is authorized to find fault should find. Not everybody. So, sometimes in one of the lectures I had heard, I thought I will share it. It's very interesting. While finding fault, we should keep these questions in our mind. Am I the right person to correct someone? I am seeing something is wrong. Am I the right person to do it? Am I authorized to do it? Will he hear me? Or by my correcting him, will he become more and more agitated? Or whether it will worsen the whole problem, instead of solving the problem, whether I will complicate the problem. So this is also one very important point we have to keep in mind. Am I the right person to find fault? Am I authorized to do this duty of finding fault? Another thing, okay, let us say I am the right person to find fault. If I am the right person, do I have the right motive to find the fault or to correct another person? Okay, you are authorized to find fault, but are you having a proper motive? That is also important. Or in trying to find fault, you are settling some balance, old balance. You did like this, now I will show you. See, this is wrong, isn't it? Sometimes actually we find, the moment we get against somebody, immediately, even small thing he does, see, he did like this. Earlier, we were not even aware about all those things. But now, even somebody is doing small thing, then we try to point out, this is wrong, that is wrong, isn't it? So that means we are trying to settle scores, earlier scores with him. We have to be very careful in all these things. What is our intention? Is our intention to actually bring him to the rightful position, to a proper position, or I am trying to settle score? Intention has to be also looked into. Third is, suppose you have right intention, you are the right person to find fault. Do you have the right maturity? Do you know the right way to handle? That is also important. You have right intention, very good, you are the right person. But have you become matured enough to handle properly? Or we will create more problems. So that is also very important. Do you know the right way? And sometimes we should also wait for suitable opportunity or time. Not that I found fault, immediately I point out. We have to wait for proper circumstances, proper opportunity. Is it the right time? That is also very important. So these four things have to be kept in mind. Am I the right person? Even if I am the right person, do I have the right intentions, right motive? Do I know the right way? And is it the right time? So these are also very important. So here also we find that even though the sons are protesting against the immoral act of the father, but they are doing it very cautiously and they are doing it with a great respect, keeping in mind that this is some extraordinary behavior from our father, and it is not that just because of this act we should be disrespectful towards Brahmaji. So we will stop with this. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.